Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Amanda and I'm happy that you're here. Welcome to a bonus episode of Midnight Murmurs, stories for swift nights. Yeah, I have a cool new sweatshirt. Yep, that lady. Since we're in the transitionary period between Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, I thought we could do something a little bit different for this episode. Here before me, I have another book from my youth. This time, it's Poetry for Young People, Robert Frost. This book is split into the 4 seasons, so I thought that we could read the autumn poems from this beautifully illustrated compilation of poetry. If you don't know anything about poetry, that's great. I don't know much about it either. I have probably the basic comprehension of poetry, but the incredible thing about the internet and books like this is that we can learn and grow together, and that's a beautiful thing. So before we get started, I just wanted to give the editor, Gary D. Schmidt, a shout out. And I also wanted to shout out Henri Sorensen, who provided the beautiful illustrations for this book. This is just for fun. Please don't sue me for copyright infringement. We're just here to have a good time and experience a little bit of poetry together. So if that sounds good to you, I invite you to grab a beverage, kick back, and let's get into it. Feels a little bit weird to not be reading creepy, serious stories. I'm excited that we're going to have a little bit of change of pace for a little bit. With all that being said, here are Robert Frost's Poems of Autumn. The last word of a bluebird as told to a child. As I went out, a crow, in a low voice, said, "Oh, I was looking for you. How do you do? I just came to tell you, to tell Leslie, will you? That her little bluebird wanted me to bring word that the north wind last night, that made the stars bright, and made ice on the trough, almost made him cough, his tail feathers off. He just had to fly. But he sent her goodbye, and said to be good, and wear her red hood, and look for skunk tracks in the snow with an axe, and do everything. And perhaps in the spring he would come back and sing." In this poem, a crow speaks, bringing the message of a bluebird who is flying south for the winter. Maybe I'm getting old, but I love birds. I think they are delightful to watch. So this poem was super cute. Next we have one of Robert Frost's most famous poems, The Road Not Taken. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I should be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. We all know the feel of a cool autumn day, where we can shuffle our feet through fallen leaves and kick up the smells of the season. This poem about such a walk, about coming to a fork in the path, and about making choices in our lives. In hardwood groves. The same leaves over and over again. They fall from giving shade above to make one texture of faded brown and fit the earth like a leather glove. Before the leaves can mount again to fill the trees with another shade, they must go down past things coming up. They must go down into the dark decayed. They must be pierced by flowers and put beneath the feet of dancing flowers. However it is in some other world, I know that this is the way in ours. Walking through a grove of hardwood trees, perhaps maples or oaks, Frost recognizes that before things are raised up, they must fall down. He uses some startling images, like flowers piercing dead leaves, and a simile in which he compares the leaves to a leather glove. October. O hushed October morning mild, thy leaves have ripened to the fall. Tomorrow's wind, if it be wild, should waste them all. The crows above the forest call, tomorrow they may form and go. O hushed October morning mild, begin the hours of this day slow. Make the day seem to us less brief, hearts not averse to being beguiled, beguile us in the way you know. Release one leaf at break of day, at noon release another leaf, one from our trees, one far away. Retard the sun with gentle mist, enchant the land with amethyst. Slow, slow. For the grape's sake, if they were all, whose leaves already are burnt with frost, whose clustered fruit must else be lost, for the grape's sake along the wall. A New England October can have days that seem like winter. In this poem, Frost wants to put off those wintry days and keep the golden fullness of autumn. He speaks directly to October in a kind of prayer. I like the rhythm of that one. The cow in apple time. Something inspires the only cow of late to make no more of a wall than an open gate, and think no more of wall builders than fools. Her face is flecked with pomace, and she drools. A cider syrup, having tasted fruit. She scorns a pasture withering to the root. She runs from tree to tree where lie and sweeten the windfall spiked with stubble and worm-eaten. She leaves them bitten when she has to fly. She bellows on a knoll against the sky. Her udder shrivels, and the milk goes dry. In this poem, a cow has left the dry grass of his pasture and has started to eat the fallen apples. Frost uses couplets, pairs of rhyming lines, to give the poem a light and pleasing rhythm. But something happens, and Frost points it out by changing from couplets to 3 lines rhyming together. A late walk. When I go through the mowing field, the headless aftermath, smooth laid like thatch with the heavy dew, half closes the garden path. And when I come to the garden ground, the whir of sober birds, up from the tangle of withered weeds, is sadder than any words. A tree beside the wall stands bare, but a leaf that lingered brown, disturbed, I doubt not, by my thought, come softly rattling down. I end not far from my going forth, by picking the faded blue of the last remaining aster flower, to carry again to you. In late autumn, you can sometimes walk through a field and see things that remind you of summer. Here, Frost finds one last flower, an aster, and brings it back as a reminder. Oh, we've got more apple picking. But this time, after apple picking. My long two-pointed ladders sticking through a tree toward heaven still, and there's a barrel that I didn't fill beside it, and there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough. But I am done with apple picking now. Essence of winter sleep is on the night. The scent of apples I am drowsing off. But I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight I got from looking through a pane of glass I skimmed this morning through the drinking trough and held against the world of hoary grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break. But I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what formed my dreaming was about to take. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My instep arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend, and I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in. For I have had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down, and not let fall. For all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap as of no worth. One can see what will trouble this sleep of mine, whatever sleep it is. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep, as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. Apple picking can be slow work. Each apple must be picked by hand while you hold yourself secure on the ladder with your legs. Any apple that falls or is dropped will bruise and then rot, spoiling any other apples that are stored with it. In this poem, the weather is starting to turn wintry. There's already ice on the water trough, and Frost is looking forward to a long winter sleep. Out, out. The buzzsaw snarled and rattled in the yard, and made dust and dropped stove-length sticks of wood, sweet-scented stuff, when the breeze drew across it. And from there those that lifted eyes could count 5 mountain ranges, one behind the other, under the sunset far into Vermont. And the saw snarled and rattled, as it ran light or had to bear a load. And nothing happened. Day was all but done. Call it a day, I wish they might have said, to please the boy by giving him the half hour that a boy counts so much when saved from work. His sister stood beside them in her apron to tell them supper. At the word, the saw, as if to prove saws knew what supper meant, leapt out at the boy's hand, or seemed to leap. He must have given the hand. However it was, neither refused the meeting. But the hand! The boy's first outcry was a rueful laugh as he swung towards them holding up the hand, half in appeal, but half as to keep the life from spilling. Then the boy saw all, since he was old enough to know. Big boy doing a man's work, though a child at heart. He saw all spoiled. Don't let them cut my hand off. The doctor, when he comes, don't let him, sister. So, but the hand was gone already. The doctor put him in the dark of ether. He lay and puffed his lips out with his breath. And then the watcher at his pulse took fright. No one believed. They listened at his heart. Little, less, nothing. And that ended it. No more to build on there. And they, since they were not the one dead, turned to their affairs. Poor boy. I feel like this used to be quite common back in the day. Children would get injured on the farm accidentally and then end up passing away. This is a story about a boy cutting wood to use for winter fires. The scene starts calm and peaceful, but there is a dreadful accident. The last line of the poem is painful. Is the speaker saying that these people were heartless? Or is he saying that life must always go on, even in the face of death? What do you think, dear listener? Do you think life must always go on, even in the face of death? All right, here's our last autumn poem from Robert Frost's collection. Going for Water. The well was dry beside the door, and so we went with pail and can, across the fields behind the house, to seek the brook if still it ran. Not loath to have excuse to go, because the autumn eve was fair, though chill, because the fields were ours, and by the brook our woods were there. We ran as if to meet the moon, that slowly danced behind the trees, the barren boughs without the leaves, without the birds, without the breeze. But once within the wood we paused, like gnomes that hid us from the moon, ready to run to hiding new, with laughter when she found us soon. Each laid on other a staying hand, to listen ere we dared to look, and in the hush we joined to make, we heard, we knew we heard the brook. A note from a single place, a slender tinkling fall it made, now drops that floated on the pool, like pearls, and now a silver blade. It is late autumn in this poem, and the brooks are starting to freeze up. But late at night, two people watch the moon rise and go to the brook, and they know by its sound that the brook is still open. So what did you think, dear listener? Did you enjoy our brief foray into poetry? If you enjoyed it, there's 3 more seasons of wonderful poetry by Robert Frost that we could read aloud together. So, dear listener, if you enjoyed this bonus episode, please give it a like and feel free to subscribe for more content like this coming your way in the future. I hope you're having a wonderful fall, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.